And welcome to Education, Leadership, and Beyond, Surviving and Thriving. My name is Andrew Murata, host of the show, and happy to be with you here live on Facebook. It is show number 247. Welcome, friends. And again, thank you for tuning in live here on Facebook. Proud member of the Education Podcast Network, Voice Ed Radio Canada, wherever you are taking in your podcast. We are pumped to have you. And I am just thrilled that we are rolling here on Education, Leadership Beyond 247. I look at those numbers. I'm like, golly, how did that happen? When did that happen? But I'm so fortunate to keep running the show and keep running it with amazing guests. I've had a lot of talented people on. We have one tonight. She is a star here in New York. She's a star in education, Michelle. And I'm going to work on that name, Michelle. I'm going to get it right. Osterhoudt. She is a superintendent here in New York in her first year. So she is surviving and thriving. Thank you for tuning in, folks. And the sponsor of today's show is myself. I am a speaker, I am an author, and I would love to come to your district or organization. We're booking summer retreats. We're booking conferences next fall. So if you are looking for a speaker, I would love to be your speaker. So reach out to me, andrewmurata.com, or on Twitter at andrewmurata21 on Twitter. So let's get started. We're going to meet Michelle in a minute, and she has a story to tell. She has her message to share, so I'm excited to have her. But the opening concept is 1 minute a day. I was recently on the Florida coast, right? And when you're on the Florida coast, right, you either want to catch the sunrise or the sunset, depending on where you are. And so I'm on weather.com and I'm looking, right? Well, on Thursday, the sun set was at this time. On Friday was at this time. On Saturday. And what do we notice this time of the year? There's 1 more minute each day. That sun is up just a little bit longer each day. And it got me thinking, like, what can I do with that 1 more minute? What can I accomplish? What can I make happen? Who can I impact? 1 more hug, 1 more phone call, 1 more high five, 1 more I love you to somebody who needs it. And it really made me focus in on my time. Made me really be more intentional on that. So think about that, right? We don't really have 1 more minute. It's just 1 more minute of daylight. We still have the same amount of time, but it made it feel like I did. So if you had 1 more minute a day, what would you do with that 1 minute? So I challenge you. You could put the answer here in the box. You could text me. You could reach out to me. There's a future blog coming with that. So maybe we'll have your comment. And if you are tuning in live here, jump in the show. We'd love to have you. But enough of me chatting. Let's bring in today's guest here, Michelle O from upstate New York. Here she comes.
Hey,
Michelle,
I like
welcome
the
to
countdown, by the
Education,
way.
Leadership, and Beyond.
Thank you. Thank you. This is fun. I love that to have a little countdown. Get me ready.
Yeah, and I feel like when I opened, my countdown wasn't there, and it just came on. That doesn't usually happen, but you got the countdown.
Well, there you have it.
This is Michelle Osterhoudt from New York. Michelle, welcome. So Michelle, let's jump right in. If you had 1 more minute a day, and this wasn't on the question list, if you had 1 more minute a day, what are you doing with that minute?
So I already do something, but it gives me more time to do it because sometimes I'm rushing. I meditate every morning. I pray every morning, and that's time that even if I'm running late, I do. Right. So maybe that 1 more minute might make it a little bit easier because it only takes me about a minute.
Yeah.
Truth be told, it takes about a minute, but it grounds me and it just centers me and reminds me that I'm blessed. So every morning I do it.
Amen to that, Michelle. Again, guest, this is Michelle Osterhoudt from New York. Am I saying it right? Margaretville, New York?
Yeah. So I teach in Margaretville. I actually live in Oneonta.
Uh-huh. And this was your first year as superintendent. So, Michelle, that's our opening question. You're almost there. You could see the finish line, end of June here. How do you feel that you did in your first year?
I am so fortunate. I'm feeling great. I still love my job, lots of support. It's pretty awesome. I told you before we came live. I'm really looking forward to graduation, and being able to be like, yes, we did it, because that's why we're all here. But I'm going to tell you, I'm waiting for something to blow up my honeymoon right now, and it hasn't happened. That's not to say there haven't been difficult moments, but there are challenges, and I love a challenge, and I feel like it's going pretty dang good.
Michelle, what would you say? One victory, one thing you were like, yeah, that was a home run. And then one thing, yeah, maybe, you know what? I wish I could pull that back, or that didn't go as I planned.
So there's so many things, I'm really proud that my budget passed, and it was expected to pass. But that's like, so many people are like, congratulations, your first budget, right? I got through the process, and I'm glad that I got through the process. So a lot of this year is just about going through the motions. I don't own a lot yet. Even the budget wasn't really my
Yeah.
budget.
Yeah.
And one of the things I shared with you before we became live was I've done quite a few podcasts. I've been very fortunate. I've connected with a lot of people, and I enjoy this organic conversation, this authentic conversation. But the other thing I told you, we're live, and you have to be intentional and watch what you say. And I did my first podcast with Darren Peppard, and it was wonderful. It was an amazing experience. And he's so talented. He's such a great speaker. But I said something that offended somebody. And I did not, that was not the intention. And so I had to apologize. And so I just have to be mindful of what I say. And remember that, like, everybody's listening. You know what I mean? So,
there's that side, Michelle, but there's also, right, sometimes our message isn't for everyone. I know that everyone doesn't take the surviving and thriving message. He's too much, he talks too much, he's too loud. I get it, right? But the intention is good. The goal of impacting people in a positive way is good. It doesn't reach everybody, and sometimes you step on some toes too. So
that's true. That's a good point. And that brings me to what happened this morning. I was in a meeting with my admin team, and I don't know why my lights are flickering, but my lights are flickering. And it's divine intervention of some sort. And I was having a difficult conversation with folks. I was really kind of just venting and frustrated with some things that hadn't moved forward. And one of my colleagues said, you don't have to do that. You don't have to apologize, because you were just speaking your truth, and that's okay. Even if it is a little rough for people to hear. So, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Michelle, what's one thing you know now that you didn't know last August before you started as superintendent?
Honestly, I didn't. While I interviewed well, and I felt connected with my board, and I felt like I could work in this community, I didn't realize just how much their values aligned with mine. And I knew everybody had preached, fit is so important, fit is so important. I'm going to tell you, above all other things, fit is the most important thing when it comes to your career and your job. And I really believe that you need to enjoy what you do. Is it a grind at times? Yes, but I love every minute of it. And I think it's really important to do what you love. It really is. And I have to do work that is meaningful to me, that I feel like I'm impacting people's lives in a positive way. Yeah. So I didn't realize that what I felt was, ooh, this is a fit. I've never had a fit like this before.
Wow.
Like, this is amazing. It's profound.
How did you know that, though, before you signed on the dotted line? Like when you were talking with your family, hey, should I take this job? How'd you know it?
There were so many signs. The first sign was visiting the community, and like, it's a quaint little, cute little artsy, eclectic upstate New York community in the Catskills that is also happens to be diverse, which is kind of unusual for my area. I mean, we're diverse in a lot, right? Diversity means different things. It doesn't mean just race. There's socioeconomic diversity. There's all kinds of ways that you can be diverse, but this community was pretty diverse. So that was immediately like, ooh, I like this. And then talking with my board, I did an entry plan. And when you're talking to somebody and you just get a vibe and it feels right, that's how it felt. So there was visiting the community, and that felt right before I even interviewed. And then there was a series of interviews and meetings with folks that felt good and kismet. And then, my family felt connected with the community. We don't live in the community, but we enjoyed being in the community. We sometimes go to the community, right? Because it's my job, but also because we enjoy being in the community. But I have to share this with you. We've been doing some goal setting work with my board. We've had some board retreats, and one of my board members said, and it really solidified it for me. And this just happened about within the last month. We were talking about mission and vision and goals, and we're talking about doing a reset of our mission and vision and goals. And one of my board members said, we've been working, we know about mission and vision, but it's hard to determine goals. And we really weren't sure what our mission and vision was or what our mission was until Michelle came along. And I thought that was so powerful. And I probably didn't realize, here's what I'm going to say. Anybody can look at any school. We can pick any school in the country and look at their mission and vision and say, that's great, right? Who has a mission that doesn't sound wonderful? And you're going to say, I can get with that, right? But the challenge is how you get there, right? You have to have the same values and the same goals of how you're going to get there. So that's what we connected with. And, when he said that, I thought, oh my gosh, that made me feel good. But it was also conversely the same with me, like how they wanted to get there as a board or how we work towards that together. We had that shared value. So that's just how I knew. And I knew from the first interview, I felt pretty good. From the second interview, I was driving home. I was like, oh man, I hope they pick me. I'm just feeling it. And it was like, I get goosebumps just talking about it right now. Like, wow, how fortunate I am. So
well, good for you. Good for you for surviving your first three full your year there. Michelle, there's a lot of skill and technique that go into the job. There's a lot of talent, a lot of organic things that leaders do. The name of the show is Education, Leadership Beyond. So what are the top 2 or 3 characteristics, actions, behaviors that you are bringing to the table that you think are most benefiting you on your journey as a leader here?
Okay. So honestly, I love people. I love people. I love my job. I like making people happy. I am really grateful for what I have as a human being and the support and love that I have from my family. And I want all kids and all grownups to feel that. So I, love for what you're doing. And then listening, like really listening. And I still have a lot of listening to do. I started off a few months ago, I started doing stay interviews and I haven't finished them. I haven't gotten nearly through enough staff. I started strong and then, I got busy. That happens. But just connecting with people and listening and not reacting, right? So that's something, I'm thinking back to the Michelle, even just 3-4 years ago, when I'd get upset, I'd react and I could be pretty passive aggressive and I'd get really heated. And a lot of that had to do with just the state of the world right now. We lack civil discourse. So people just get upset and get bent out of shape really easily. And I've learned that doesn't get me anywhere. So just listening and being able to have civil discourse. Growing up as a child, there's one thing, and I believe it was my dad who said this: Michelle, be careful. Don't talk about politics and don't talk about religion with people, right? I mean, maybe you've heard that too. And now what is getting us all bent out of shape? Politics and religion. Maybe we're sharing a little too much. And I'm one of those people who puts myself out there, but but I found that if you are tactful, you can have conversations with people who are very different from you, and it's okay.
Absolutely. And as a woman leader yourself, right? People are looking to you for that. They want you to lead and share. Michelle used the word civil discourse, and you wrote a powerful article in 2020. I was really impressed and really blown away, touched. But it was entitled "Living with the N-Word." You're a woman of color. Can you share your inspiration for writing that piece?
Yeah, so I have to tell you, I mean, the article itself talks a little bit about how it came to be, and it was an experience. George Floyd, 2020, we were in civil unrest in our country and the
Agreed. Yeah.
pandemic, right? So all of those things. And it was really hard as a woman of color, as a person of color, seeing all of this stuff. It took me a long time to watch the George Floyd video, by the way. And people are like, oh, did you see the movie Central Park 5? And did you see this video? Did you see? I don't watch that stuff because honestly, it's hard to watch. It's disturbing to watch. But George Floyd and my own experiences. So I've experienced the N-word all my life, but I experienced it in 2020 and it broke me. And I can't believe that I'm saying that out loud, but it broke me. I think at the time I was 47 and I'm riding in the car with my daughter and not everybody knows this. And I actually have video footage of this because we did a Facebook
Yeah.
Live video, not of the person calling me the N-word, but my daughter and I were sharing a happy moment. We're driving around in my car, bumping some Earth, Wind, and Fire, music of love, right? The SEL kings of the universe talk about self-love, bumping some Earth, Wind, and Fire and driving. So I went live and I said, I'm having a membership drive. If you want to join the NAACP, DM me. I'm coming to your house and we're filling out the paperwork. And so that's what my daughter and I did. We hopped in the car and we were Facebook Live, going to people's houses, getting people to sign and join in. I'm at a stoplight in my neighborhood with my daughter, who's, 13, 14 at the time, 13 at the time, with my daughter. And I'm at the stoplight and a car goes by me and he yells, I'm going to say it, Andrew, nigger, loud.
Mm.
My daughter didn't hear it because of the music and she's a teenager and she was on her cell phone. And I just the mommy instinct comes in and I just play it off. Parents, we're real good at that. We deserve Oscars sometimes because to protect our children, we just act like nothing happened. And I looked at her and I could tell she didn't hear it, but I was like, and I didn't tell my husband. I didn't tell anybody. The next day I'm driving to work and I just pulled over to the side of the road because I broke down. It was really hard for me. And I share that because people need to know that this still happens. And then what happened is, fast forward months later, the N-word has been a problem in school districts. I'm going to tell you. I know it because as a member of the NAACP, people have reached out to me. I know it because I've seen it as an administrator, kids and parents and teachers complaining. And we had some problems with the N-word in school. And we're talking elementary kids, fifth graders. And I went into the classroom and I read my article. And here's what's so wonderful. These children were so upset that anybody would treat Mrs. O this way because they know that I love them. I love them, right? How could anybody treat Mrs. O this way? And I guarantee you, some of the children in those classes hear that word at home and hear that word used at home. But they still formed a relationship with me and respected me enough to think that this was just so horrible. And when you say it to somebody on a bus or at school or in isolation when you're with your friends, because kids are trying to find themselves and figure it all out, they don't realize the impact. But when I read my story to the fifth graders, and I got a little emotional when I read my story, I think, something clicked and it opened up their eyes to wow, words are powerful. Mrs. O is an old lady, and it got her in her feels because somebody said that to her. So it's so important. Here's what I'll tell you, Andrew. It is so important to share our story. Yeah. Share our story when we know that it can help or we think that it could help somebody else. And that wasn't easy for me to share. And it brought back all these feelings. And I was actually a little ashamed because I'm 47 years old. How can a grown man affect me that way? Yeah. But it did because I've heard it a lot my whole life, starting when I was 5 years old. So that stays with you.
But you put it out there in writing. You brought it to children in a classroom and you're not afraid to talk about it, looking to create change. So kudos, Michelle. And it's a shame that's unbelievably continues to happen in our country.
Yeah, it does. And it's too bad. But
well, I'm impressed that you brought it there and you wrote that. Michelle, another thing you shared and you talked a little bit about was some anxieties that you went through, right? Again, you're the woman leader, you're the strong leader, but you've been open and shared a little bit some anxiety you went through, and I love that you called it, right, imposter syndrome. We're looking at other schools, we're looking at other leaders, other podcasters, like, whoa, look at them, they're perfect and I suck, How did you kind of work through this? How did you talk yourself out of this, feeling this? How did you get through it?
So I got to tell you, I got through it because I took care of myself. I actually took time off of work. I'd gone to the ER 2 or 3 times because I was having heart palpitations, and I literally thought I was having heart problems, and nothing wrong with me. I'm fairly, knock on wood, fairly healthy. I've always been pretty healthy, but just the anxiety of feeling like I wasn't fitting in. I really wasn't fitting in. And I wasn't, right? So where I was in my career at that point, I was a fit until I wasn't a fit. So that was part of it. But and I don't think I shared this with you. I did look at the, some of the questions, and I'm finally comfortable sharing with this. And very few people know this, but my family had suffered a series of losses in the span of a week. I had the death of an uncle who was like a father to me. Somebody that my daughter knew committed suicide that week. And then a former student of mine whose family I'm really close to, all in the span of a week, was tragically killed in our community. So it was a lot. And as a parent, you sort of suppress those things. But that, coupled with the stress of my job was really stressful at the time, and it was just hard. And maybe it was stressful because of all those things that happened.
Yeah.
But as leaders, we don't know any other way. We just push forward because that's what we do. So many people rely on us, whether it's because, our family relies on us, or our staff relies on us. We just push through. And I found myself having moments of like chest pain and, heart palpitations, and just couldn't bear to go to work. I was dreading going to work. And part of it was work, but part of it was just all this stuff in my head. And my doctor finally convinced me to take some time off. And you know what I did is I exercised, and I read, and I spent some time with my daughter, who was struggling at the time. And it was just the time that we needed. And I had a counselor, and she was phenomenal. And I'm saying this out loud because I'm not afraid of the stigma anymore, Andrew, because once I shared a little piece of myself, you'd be surprised, or maybe you wouldn't be surprised, how many leaders have reached out to me and said, I thought I was alone. Because listen, we got to where we are because we have achieved probably a lot of success in our lives. We're not used to failure. We're not used to letting people down. So when we feel like we can't do our job, or something's getting in the way of us doing our job, we're ashamed. And then to add on top of that, the doctor is reaffirming for me that, yeah, I'm having anxiety. How do you admit that? Because I'm going to tell you, I had two mentors in my life at that time, and they're still my mentors. One said, Michelle, take care of yourself. You got to do what you got to do. And they were upper level leaders. Take some time off. The other one was, this could be career suicide. So I decided the best thing for me was to take care of my health and take care of my family. And I am happy and better for it today because I did that. So, you got to listen to your body, and you got to listen to the professionals. And my doctor is a phenomenal doctor, and he knew me, and that's awesome.
And if you're watching the show here's the picture Michelle shared, and bam, you're dang right, you made the good decision. Look at that. You look good. You look strong. You look happy.
I'm happy.
And
you know what?
Amazing. Go ahead.
Mental health is health, right? You got to take care of your physical body, but you got to take care of your mind too. And I can't stress that enough.
I love it. I love to hear it. And Michelle, I've been blessed to we've had a couple mental strength coaches, right? Athletic teams have strength coaches, and now they're having mental strength coaches because it is a muscle. It is something. And when you felt weak, when you felt off, you built yourself back up. And kudos to you for talking about it and bringing it here public, because you're not alone, right? It is something that we struggle with.
I'm proud, and I think people need to hear that I'm proud that I took care of myself, and I'm better for it.
Well, another way you're taking care of yourself, it's almost summertime here. You are an outdoors, is it outdoors woman? I don't know, an outdoors person. You love being outside. You're fishing, you're hiking, you're walking, you're four-wheeling, and you love going to concerts with your husband, being in the pit. You're not in the safety of the nice seats. You're in the pit. Tell me about some of these summer activities you're looking forward to this summer.
You know what? I'm going to tell you, this is what we love to do. And I blame it on the pandemic, because as soon as everything started to open up, my husband and I had this newfound love of country music. I can't believe I'm saying it out loud. Listen, people who knew me growing up are like, there is no way Michelle listens to country music. I'm all about that life, Andrew. I am all about that life, and I love it. And I like all kinds of music. I grew up on hip hop and R&B, so let's not get it twisted, and freestyle. So that's what I love. But country music, there's just something about it. And we went to our first concert in 2021, and we had so much fun. We were hooked. we were hooked. And we're in the pit and we're meeting folks and we're having a blast. And some of the people we've met in concerts, we see at other concerts because
Come on.
they're pit folks like us, or they know we're going and we connect, and it's just a
Nice.
lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
It's a release, right? And,
It's a release.
yeah,
Yeah,
singing along, the energy and they're
it
talking
is.
to you. So who are your artists? Who do you enjoy?
Well, okay. So I know you're going to ask me a question about something people don't know about me, but so I love country music. I love Morgan Wallen, and he's had some controversy with the N word, by the way.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Uh,
He was the one married to Kelsey Ballerini. Was that him?
no, that's somebody
No.
else.
Okay.
That's
That's
another
another
Morgan.
that's another Morgan, right?
That's another Morgan. Um, and I love Luke Combs. My newest favorite artist right now is Tyler Childers, and
Mm,
he's like bluegrass country. And I never thought I'd
okay.
listen to that, but he's
Okay.
amazing. He's
Nice.
amazing. And Ernest, I said Ernest Hardy. Hardy's really good. We saw Hardy at Hammerstein Ballroom in New York City over the winter time, and that's a great venue, by the way. We took the train
Yes.
in. We stayed in Manhattan. Great venue. We were in the pit, of course. But I love them all. Like I love John Party. We're gonna go to a country music festival in June, and John Party is the headliner the first night. It's four nights of concerts, 4 days of concerts, and he's headlining the first night, and I'm so excited. Uh, he's the first Californian to be inducted into the Grand Ole Opry, by the way.
Wow. Wow. And tell me about these outdoor activities, right? You're with your husband, you're exercising. How, is it something you say, "Hey, honey, let's go do this today"? Do you look at the weather, or are you a scheduler? You say, "Hey, we're going four-wheeling, we're doing," how do you
So
make these decisions on what you're going to do?
I am a planner, believe it or not, and I'm super hyper, so I'm all over the place, and my secretary would probably tell you she's a planner because I'm just so full of energy. I am a planner, but I don't necessarily, and I like to plan trips and stuff. But like weekends, it's organic. It's whatever we decide to do. Like last weekend, we went to a brewery, and I don't actually like beer, but it was on the river, and so we got to sit
Mm,
and just enjoy the river, and we met some folks there. It's all organic. It's just,
yeah.
there's so much to see and do near where we live, because we live in the Catskills and it's beautiful, that we're just sort of exploring our neighboring communities and enjoying that, something that we never really did before. When school ended or when I had free time, I was like, let's get the heck out of New York. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
But we're enjoying. I think it's because we're getting old, right? Like we're
Yeah.
learning to enjoy what we have. I joke around all the time. I hope people don't think I'm going to all these concerts and doing these crazy things because I'm having a midlife crisis. I say I'm having a live your best life crisis.
I love it. I love
So
it. Well,
I
enjoy it. Enjoy New York. Enjoy these things away from school. And I too am a country music. I've fallen in love with the lyrics,
yes,
the
that's what she
artist.
says. Yeah.
Yeah,
Who do you
yeah.
like?
We are Eric Church, Old Dominion, and Kenny Chesney's my guy. Yeah,
Eric Church, amazing live.
yeah.
Amazing. We saw
He
him
is.
last year. He's
We
one of
saw
my
him at
favorites.
we saw him at the Garden.
I saw him at the Barefoot Country Music Festival on the beach.
I'll take that. I'll take that. Hey, Michelle, let me ask you. You and I met on social media. You're active
Yeah.
in the New York platforms. You're active on Twitter. You're really celebrating a lot of good things there. Tell me about that journey and how come? Why are you doing that?
So I've always been intrigued and enjoyed social media. And my husband will tell you I'm on it too much. And so I'm actually, I don't go to bed with my phone anymore. I try to, I do sometimes, but I'm lying. I
Put it in
try
the
to
other
plug
room.
it
Yeah.
in. So I do have all my chargers upstairs, and
Yeah.
our bedroom is downstairs. So I'm trying to like just be mindful of that.
Yeah.
But it's how I connect with people.
Yes.
So I would not have met the likes of, well, I think I met Larry Dake in person. No, I met him on social media. So I would not
Hmm.
have met the likes of Larry Dake, Andrew Murata, Darren Peppard, Tahira Dupree Chase. Like there are so many people that I've met on social media. And then eventually I do get to meet them in person. So I'm sure you and I are going to meet in person. I
Yeah.
feel it. It's coming.
Hmm.
But maybe we'll write a book together. But I've connected that way. And I think I really, really started partly during the pandemic. I've always been connected with social media, but then the pandemic, right? We couldn't go anywhere. So that became a platform for me to connect with other people. It started with, for me, online, the Black Principals Network. And that was so important for me during the pandemic, during George Floyd, during that summer of 2020, which was so hard for so many of us, whether it was pandemic or social unrest in our country. So the Black Principals Network helped get me through. And I think they're defunct now. I haven't been able to connect with them since, but that, and then Twitter. I have met so many wonderful people, yourself included, on Twitter. And we do our Twitter chats, which are 30-minute little, PD connecting with people. And then through those, I meet more people. That's how I met Charlie Peck and did her podcast. And for me, it's networking and it's learning from other people. So these people are also mentors to me. And I hope that in some ways, maybe I'm a mentor to them, but it's all about your network and learning and, valuing the folks around you who have something to bring to the table that maybe you don't have, or they're in a different region. And I love that. I really love that. I did Dr. Jetter's book, 100 Things School Administrators Shouldn't Do. I was in that book because I saw it posted on social media, and I DM'd him. I'm like, tell me about this project. I want in. He's like,
I'm in.
I've seen you on Twitter. You're more than welcome. Let's do this. So it brought me opportunities. And truth be told, I got my job because I was scrolling through LinkedIn and a consultant firm. I had given up looking. I was like, you know what?
Wow.
I need to stop. And on accident one day, I came across the link for my job and I DM'd the recruiter, the consultant firm, and we had a quick phone conversation. She goes, you should apply. I think this might be it. You should apply. And the rest is history.
How'd that work out for you? Good. Well, you are making an impact. Your message is positive there, and you can feel your energy not only through this podcast here, but from your posts. They're energetic. They're inspiring. So thank you for those.
Thank you.
Yeah. Michelle, my message is surviving and thriving, right? That's kind of where I'm going. So if you had one word, if you had one action, if you had one habit, if you had one thing that you could do, surviving blank thriving, what would that be for you, Michelle?
My one word would be connect. Connect.
Tell me about that.
I want to say relationships, but it's just connecting with people. And that's how you form relationships. But, I'm that crazy person that's in the grocery store and talks to the person next to me that doesn't even know who I am. Last week I did it. In fact, I was like, can you believe cream cheese is $8.99? Cream cheese is $8.99. The lady looked at me. She goes, that's crazy. I mean, I just love people. I love life. I love people. And so I like to connect with people. I like relationships. And, somebody said to me the other day, is it hard? Because, when you're a leader, you have to make tough decisions and you sometimes have to have hard conversations with people. And sometimes I've had conversations with people. I had to pray on them because they were very difficult conversations. I actually believe it's easier to have those conversations when you have a connection with somebody, even if it's delivering not so good news, because at the end of the day, as leaders, we want to bring out the best in people. So the way that you do that is through a positive connection. And it might be, maybe this isn't working out or maybe it is working out, but being able to actually have a conversation and talk about the difficult things and the good things, I think is easier when you have a connection with somebody. I can't be, you've seen it like in movies and stuff. Like there's a person who maybe delivers the bad news and you give it to that person because they do it and they have no connection. And that's cold.
Yeah.
I don't think it has to be that way.
Yeah. We have to do both, give the hug and the difficult message. Yeah. I agree with you. Michelle, we're going to get to rapid fire here in a moment, but what was something that you wanted to talk about that I did not ask you about?
I guess the most important thing for me as a leader, if I wanted anybody to know anything about me, is that I want all kids to have opportunity. And for me, there's this big thing right now with DEI, and we all get our panties in a bunch because what does DEI mean? And it boils down, for most people, it boils down to race. And yes, it is about race, but there are so many other ways that diversity plays a part, right? Socioeconomic diversity, there's just so many things, poverty, drug abuse. There's so many things that we see as leaders and as educators that affect our children. So when we talk about diversity, we're really talking about equity. We want all kids, no matter where they're from and what their background is, to have the opportunity to be successful. So I want people to not get stuck on diversity as race. It is race, and race is important. I'm the only Black superintendent in my region, right? So obviously it's something that's important and we have to talk about it, but equity is about opportunity. And I think we twist the narrative, or we get upset because we think it's like, oh, why does everything have to be about race? Well, it is about race, but it's about equity. And equity means everyone.
When it opened my eyes when I took that, is it called the ACEs test? What's the
There's a couple different tests. Did you take the ACEs test or the implicit bias test?
no, the ACEs test, and the higher the number you are, the more,
Yeah.
and I had a zero. I had a zero. Like,
Oh, you
there's no
lucky
reason
dog.
why I couldn't be successful versus these other people that have had all these setbacks because of things in their life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it really opened my eyes at that opportunity when I took that test. It's like, holy cow, wow. People are
Yeah.
getting 7s and 8s, and they're still making it,
Me. It's me.
Yeah.
It's me.
Yeah.
My sister and I we'd say to each other, we are so lucky that we're not living, in low income housing, and we're pregnant by the time before we graduated high school, and it's not that we had a bad family. We had a great family, but we had some aces. We had some things that could really have prevented us from being successful.
Yeah.
Thank goodness we're resilient, and our parents were resilient. And our parents taught us, like, there's absolutely no way I was going to graduate high school and not go to college. Like, education was the key to my success. And that was ingrained in us. And I had a very loving family, but we had some stuff. And there are a lot of people around us who we would not even know, who seem to come from perfectly normal, wonderful, loving households, who have stuff.
Yeah, the ACEs, yeah. And that brings it out. Amen. God bless, Michelle, and I wish you the best on your leadership journey. Let's get to rapid fire here, and these are quick questions, Michelle. First thing that comes to your mind, are you ready?
I'm going to try.
Here we go. Last book you read?
Oh, it's called Demon Copperhead by Barbara King's Oliver. Demon Copperhead. It's a modern day version on David Copperfield, and it's about the opiate problem in our country.
Oh God! Wow.
How it affects families and children, and it's powerful. It's the
Last
first
movie you saw
for fun. Last movie, A Man Called Otto. Such a good movie.
Yeah.
With Tom Hanks. Yes.
Tom Hanks. Okay.
It's sad at the end, but it's a good movie. It's a good movie.
That's what I hear. Your favorite dish?
Anything Thai or shrimp scampi, baby. Give me some shrimp.
Can you get that in Oneonta? Can you get either of those?
Yeah, I mean, I could buy. I make my own shrimp scampi. I go to the grocery store and I buy it and I make it. But we've got a good Thai restaurant here.
There you go. Your favorite place to travel?
Ooh, I like going anywhere with my family. So my favorite place, I really love Tennessee. That's where my father lives. I love Tennessee. Tennessee looks like New York. It really does. If you've ever been to Tennessee, it looks a lot like New York. Beautiful mountains. I live in the Catskills, beautiful mountains. And why do I like Nashville, baby? Nashville. I love Nashville.
It's a straight shot. You could take 81 straight down and hit it.
My dad lives less than an hour from Nashville.
Nice. On September 1st, I will be glad that I fill in the blank.
Gone through the motions as a superintendent. So it won't be my new year. I can sort of tweak it and build it my own. I was going through the motions this last year and I've been okay. But now I can really and I brought some change and some good things have been happening, but now we can build on that. Yeah, and so I'm super excited about that.
The best leaders are the best because fill in the blank.
Because they care. They really just care. They're not in it for a title. They're not in it for power. They just really love what they do and they care.
A journal or a blog you subscribe to?
So I don't really subscribe to journals or blogs. I listen to all these podcasts. I listen to your podcast. I listen to Darren's. There's one podcast that really has me in my feels lately, and it's Craig Rochelle. He's from Life Church, and he's a pastor, but he's also a leadership. He does leadership podcasts. So, recently I found Faith in God, so that helps me. So he's really pretty powerful.
Cool. Pet peeve of yours?
Ooh, people who don't have integrity. Like, do what you say you're going to do, live with intention, and don't lie, don't cover up, just be honest. Just be honest. If you lack
Amen to
integrity,
that.
I don't want anything to do with you.
You're a New Yorker now. You're here. I love New York because.
Ooh, I love New York because my family is here. So I love New York, and I think New York is a special place, but anywhere can be home as long as I'm with my family. This is something I've discovered recently.
At 8 a.m. on Saturday morning, I feel, fill in the blank.
Happy because it's the weekend. And what am I going to go do for fun?
Doing something away from school. The best takeaway from this show for our guests.
The best takeaway is be yourself and don't be afraid to be vulnerable and share your story.
You're doing that tonight. You've done that, and I give you kudos for that. What's one thing you're curious about?
I am curious about where I will be, where my school will be this time next year. Like, I got a little bit of a vision, but I'm really curious about how far we're going to get. I'm really excited with my leadership team, and I'm just really curious about what it's going to look like. Like, I'd love to revisit us now, like this, right? This moment in time next year, and see where we are. I'm really curious about what it looks like.
Here's what we're gonna do. When we hang up, I'm gonna put the calendar invite. I'm gonna hit duplicate, and I'm gonna put it for next year. Let's do it. I am curious about that too, because I know you're gonna take Margaretville ahead. You're gonna move them forward. So, Michelle, something about you that people don't know about. You shared some things today. But what would you share about that?
I really like tattoos.
I saw a little ink there. I got
a little ink. I got a tattoo with a fish hook and my son's name, and then a sunshine for my daughter Ella, because she's my sunshine, and my son loves fishing, and so do I. Nice. I got some others, but we'll save that for another day.
Say that. Well, since you're a tattoo, I'm gonna show. There's a hot off the presses.
When did you get that? Yeah, that is beautiful.
My logo, but like you said, it's my family on my names, the names of my kids.
That's awesome.
Got to live your logo, right?
Live your message. Listen, right? My kids. I got a couple others. I got an eagle on my ankle, and that has special meaning. That's for my uncle. And I got to share this with you. So I have tattoos on my arm. This is Morgan Wallen's signature. He signed my arm.
Come on.
And Ernest's signature. He signed my arm. And there's one more I got to get. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's why you in the pit to get to. Wow. Very cool.
Long story. We'll have to talk about that another time. There's a long story and some pretty significant meaning behind both of them.
Well, let's get together. I'm going to Saney's. Hopefully we can meet there, but if not, we'll get together. We're close enough. Michelle, I got your social medias running here on the bottom, but what are the best way someone can get in touch with you? They want to learn from you. They want to talk to you.
Twitter is probably Twitter. Yeah. Message me on Twitter or
Osterhoudt.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Michelle, I love quotes. Why don't you end us here tonight with a quote?
Ooh, so if it ain't fatal, Andrew, it's no big deal.
Wow. That's bold right there.
I'm telling you, I saw some PD like 15 years ago, and the guy said, if it ain't fatal, it's no big deal, because we worry about so many things.
So many.
It'll be okay.
Wow. Wow. Guys, this is Michelle Osterhoudt. Michelle, it was really an honor to have you on. I know this is a long time in the making, and we're both at crunch time here at school.
Yeah.
Other schools are finishing up. We're just hitting June here. We're coming down the stretch. So it was an honor to have you on, and congratulations on your first year as superintendent.
Thank you so much for having me. Lots of fun.
Check Michelle out on Twitter, Osterhoudt. Come join us on Wednesday nights, the Saney's Chat. I talked to Larry. We might have a group of us take that over next year, Michelle. So we'll have to get you in that mix. If I could help you in any way, don't hesitate to reach out at Andrew Marotta21 on Twitter. We are going to sign off on show number 247. Everybody, keep surviving and thriving. And I wish you the best on your journey. Keep rolling, friends.